to order of the Torrington City Council. This is Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. Good evening and welcome to all. We have here this evening Mr. Ryan Caith from KGOS, KERM Radio. So this meeting is being broadcast live on the local radio stations and also on YouTube, and it will be up permanently on YouTube. We also have here from the Torrington Telegram, Mr. Phoenix Barron. So welcome to the press. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Councilman Rick Warren to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda are the mayor's informational items. Tonight is council's last meeting of the year. Our first meeting of 2026 will be on Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. On behalf of myself, council, staff, and employees of the City of Torrington, I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Please enjoy the peace, excitement, joy, and celebration of the Christmas season, and I wish all a very healthy and prosperous New Year. Merry Christmas. Please do note that city offices will be closed on Thursday, December 25th, and Friday, December 26th. City offices will be open all day on Wednesday, December 24th. Again, Merry Christmas to all. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the 12/2/25 council meeting as published.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Councilman Kelly to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Deal. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that consent agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda itself.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to approve the agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Warren. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the agenda is approved. Next item on our agenda is what we call the public forum. I see no slips of paper in that black box in front of Councilman Warren, but I do like to explain what this is, so if anybody's listening, they can perhaps take advantage of it at some point. This is public forum. It's for non-agenda items. There is a time limit of 2 minutes, and the speaker must sign up before the meeting. This is a time for the council to listen. No action will be taken. All right, we are down in the action items, and council will now be leaving regular session and convene for a public hearing as Board of Adjustment. Item A is B&B Landholding LLC is requesting approval of a final plat for the Family Dentistry PC subdivision addition. And so this is open for public hearing, and I would first call on Mr. Dennis Estes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What you have in front of you is exactly the same as you had a month ago on a preliminary plat. B&B Holdings is submitted a final plat. Again, did not change from the first one. I've had no public comment, no comments at the Planning Commission meeting. The Planning Board did look at it. I had just one or two little minor questions, and they approved it, so staff would recommend approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Estes. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Estes? Councilman Victor, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, Dennis, so approving this zoning change will then annex the property in question, correct?
Correct, Councilman. According to state statute, once you approve the plat, it is then, I forget the exact word in the statute, but it is part of the city. After it becomes part of the city, they have all the ordinance, and they have to become part of the city.
That's all.
That's by approving the plat that it becomes annexed.
You're annexing by approving the plat, which is contiguous with the city of Torrington.
All right.
And the plat is approved through the zoning change. Is that how I understand?
No, you're just approving the plat. Zoning is a whole different issue. Two separate issues.
The zoning change comes later, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay.
And it is confusing because it's zoned by ordinance.
But that's a good question. So we're in public hearing, so we're approving two plats, and then we will move on to two ordinances regarding zoning for each of the plats.
That is correct, Mayor.
Okay.
So we're sitting here as Board of Adjustment approving the plats.
Very good.
All right, those are good questions, though. Any other questions for Mr. Estes?
Mr. Mayor, so I recall when this came up the first time, there was a question about the water line, whether or not that was a standard water line. Do you know if there's been any resolution to that, or?
I know since the first meeting, the preliminary plat meeting, I know Mr. Harkins and Mr. Weiss are in contact with the water department and the owners of the land, and they're going to get together and figure something out on the water line before they pave in front of that building. Exact same thing with the sewer line.
Certainly, your counsel, if a question comes to mind, please just ask Mr. Dennis, or Mr. Dennis Estes. But right now, we are in open public hearing for B&B landholding, approval of plat. Are there any public comments out there for? Seeing none, are there any public comments out there against? Seeing none. Gentlemen, do you have any more questions for Mr. Estes?
I would like to say, Mayor, that it's been a good working relationship with this owner. He came to us, and he has provided everything we needed, and it's been just great to work with him and to come in peacefully and no issues.
I know. I appreciate that, and we had that in a work session and when we approved the initial plat, right?
Correct.
So, yes, just thanks for that reminder. This was a great couple of fellows to work with.
I was still a little confused. On the second page of this letter here, it says something about, they want to change the zoning from the current R4 to R3 in the zoning ordinance. But that was outside the city limits, so it wasn't a zoning ordinance, was it?
The zoning ordinance you're referring to is for Mr. Hatton's property. This property is currently unzoned.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Good question, but it is confusing between zoning and
well, there were two
platting.
sheets, I thought they went together.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's why he's available for questions.
there you go.
All right, if council has no further questions for Mr. Estes, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And now we are in the section on subsection A of the public hearing on B&B land and holding. I would entertain a vote. The request is to approve a final plat for the Family Dentistry PC subdivision addition. And I would entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the final plat for the B&B Land and Holding Family Dentistry PC subdivision.
All right, I have a motion to approve the final plat for the B&B Land and Holding LLC Family Dentistry PC subdivision. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving B&B Land and Holding LLC approval of the final plat for the Family Dentistry PC subdivision addition, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that final plat is approved. All right, I will close that public hearing regarding the B&B Land Holding LLC request that we just went through. And we'll open the public hearing for the Hatton Family Trust. Hatton Family Trust is requesting approval of the final plat for the Hatton subdivision addition. And we're open for public hearing, but I would first call on Mr. Estes.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. What you have in front of you is a Hatton Family Trust. It's a final plat for a 2.03 acre, 5 to 6 lot subdivision. It'll be known as the Hatton subdivision. This has not changed from the preliminary plat. We've had no public comments. Mr. Hatton's been great to work with, and staff would recommend approval on this. Just a reminder to the council that this all came about by your water and wastewater superintendent contacted the Hattons because of that West D or East D project. And he informed Mr. Hatton that if he wanted to do something, now would be the time because of the water taps, curb cuts, those types of things. Mr. Hatton had good conversation with Tom, and they worked something out, and that's how it all got started, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, and that was good proactive behavior by Mr. Tom Troxel to talk to them. That's good.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Dennis, what is the difference between R3 and R4?
I can explain that to you now, or I can explain it to you when we do the ordinance.
Sure, let's wait.
Either way,
We
So-
can wait.
the difference between R3.
He said, let's wait.
You want to wait?
We can wait.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. And this is for 5 or 6 lots down there on that 2.03 acres, right?
Correct.
Which most people on D are familiar with because it's a nice grassy area that's really well maintained.
Correct.
Home to 12 deer.
Home to 12 deer at least.
Yeah, a lot of comments about the deer.
Well, they'll spend time in the cemetery too.
They said they're going to break this up into 5 or 6 lots.
Correct.
Is there a minimum size for a lot?
There is. There's a square footage requirement, and that's all dictated by the zoning that you're going to do with it. So, per family, so like in an R1 zone, which would be like above Rio Vista, Monte Vista, all that's R1 zone. Those are the big lots, so you can only have one family on those big areas. And the farther down the zoning you get, R2, R3, R4, you get more dense population, less square footage per family. So, and it's all depicted in the ordinances that you're looking at, and I'll explain that to you when we get to the zoning.
All right, we are in open public hearing on the Hatton Family Trust request for a final plat. Any further questions for Mr. Estes at this time? Seeing none, since we're in open public hearing, are there any public comments for the approval of this final plat? Seeing none, I will ask the same. Are there any public comments against approval of this final plat? Seeing none. Gentlemen, do you have any further questions for Mr. Estes? All right. Hearing none, seeing none, I will go ahead and close this public hearing regarding the Hatton Family Trust request for approval for a final plat. So we'll close the public hearing. We are now at a time for council to vote. I would entertain a motion to approve the Hatton Family Trust of the final plat of the Hatton subdivision addition.
I would move to approve the final plat for the Hatton subdivision addition as presented.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Victorin to approve the Hatton Family Trust final plat of the Hatton subdivision as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Warren. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of the Hatton Family Trust, approval of the final plat for the Hatton subdivision addition, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that Hatton Family Trust request for approval of the final plat for the Hatton subdivision addition is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will return to regular session. We are now on item number 2 on the agenda, ordinance on first reading, establishing C1A zoning for lots 1 and 2 of the Family Dentistry PC Subdivision Edition, and I would first call on Mr. Eddington to please read that ordinance by title.
It's an ordinance amending and reenacting Section 18.16.020 of the Torrington Municipal Code, 2025 revisions relating to the city of Torrington, Wyoming, amending the zoning district map by establishing C1A zoning for attractive land.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. Okay, Mr. Estes.
Again, thank you, Mayor and Council. What you have in front of you is a C1A zoning ordinance, and I'll go through this and explain what the difference is and how they all work. So if you ever get curious about how the zoning works, in our ordinances, whether you go online or in the books, you go to Section 18 and it lists every zone that we have, everything from commercial to agricultural to residential. There's several different areas in each one of those. Each one of those has several different uses. This use happens to be in your zoning ordinance, and it only allows 2 uses, which is unusual for our zoning ordinances. This C1A is made for offices, businesses, professional and public, offices for medical, dental, health clinics having their principal occupation in the treatment and examination of people, treatment of examination of animals in the C1A district, the treatment of animals is not allowed. You couldn't have a vet clinic there. That's the only 2 uses allowed in this zone. Mr. Marsh has indicated that's the direction he would like to go with both these lots right now. So staff would recommend approval on this first reading.
Mr. Mayor, Dennis, would that be contiguous, or would that be similar to the contiguous properties there?
Below him is an R4 because it's a multifamily, but around him to the other side of that, yes, there's a lot of C1A. Torrington in the past has not been real good about keeping up with the zoning and what's around it. There's a lot of spot zoning in places. But with all the medical clinics up there and everything going on, yeah, some of this up here above the hospital is just commercial. But the only really C1As we have was Bob Asbury's old office on Main Street. Those types of places. There's a couple other ones, but very small uses. But this is a good use for that right there.
And this is what Mr. Marsh wants. C1A.
Correct. We visited about it and looked through all the stuff. And when you get into the commercial side of it, you can have a lot of uses. I mean, then people get nervous, especially around residential. So like if I did a commercial, say a highway service district, I could have everything from a Burger King to a gas station to 100 different uses there. You know, gambling, another one, yeah. So.
But this C1A is limited to medical offices or other professional offices?
Correct.
Now, did you say he's going to change both lots to C1A?
Correct. Both lots will be the same zone.
Okay, so the commercial, each lot will have its own water tap, right?
When we get to that point on the north lot where they put the whole new line in, however they get that figured out in front of this new building, they might go all the way across both lots, I'm not sure, but we'll probably put a water tap in there. We're real cautious about that because we don't know what's going to go in there. We don't know how big the building's going to be. We don't know how many buildings are going to be there, so.
Well, I mean, with a commercial water tap, it's bigger than
Not necessarily,
isn't it?
depending on the use. Most businesses are just a 1-inch water tap unless they have fire sprinkler, that type of thing. We don't see a lot of large use, water usage, unless they have big lawn irrigation places, like hospital, got a big use.
But if the Hatton subdivision would have to have an individual water lines, I would think this would have to too.
Correct, and that's one of the reasons Mr. Troxel got a hold of him. So once we now have this platted, they can go in there and depict those lots, and they'll put taps in each one of those as they go up that street.
All right, any further questions for Mr. Estes or comments on item number 2 that we're discussing?
Mr. Mayor, sensing there's no further discussion, I would move to approve on first reading the ordinance establishing C1A zoning for lots 1 and 2 of the Family Dentistry PC subdivision as outlined in item 2 of our agenda.
All right, we're on item number 2. I have a motion from Councilman Victron to approve on first reading this ordinance establishing C1A zoning for lots 1 and 2 of the Family Dentistry PC subdivision addition. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, item number 2, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of this ordinance on first reading, establishing C1A zoning for lots 1 and 2 of the Family Dentistry PC subdivision addition, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that ordinance is approved on first reading. Thank you. We are now on the second page of the agenda, item number 3. Ordinance on first reading, establishing R3 zoning for Block 1, lots D and E, and Block 2, lots A, B, and C of the Hatton subdivision addition. Mr. Eddington, would you please read that ordinance by title?
It's an ordinance amending and reenacting Section 18.16.020 of the Torrington Municipal Code, 2025 revisions relating to the city of Torrington, Wyoming, amending the zoning district map by establishing R3 zoning for attractive land.
Thank you, Mr. Eddington. Mr. Estes?
Well, thank you again, Mayor. What you have in front of you is currently this lot of Mr. Hatton's forever and a day has been zoned R4, and he's never really built much on it, but R4 allows multifamily, more dense population. I think it was more in line with what was going to happen to the east of it. They were thinking when that come in. I don't even know when that zoning ordinance was put in place. I spoke with Mr. Hatton about his intentions now that he's got it divided. I said R3 is a better fit there. It matches the surrounding area, so other than the churches. But in R3 zoning, they want you to put churches and parks. They want you to build those in an R3 family area. R3 allows single-family dwellings and two-family dwellings, and it all goes by the square footage of your lot. So you have to have, as it says in the ordinance, a lot which is erected a single-family dwelling shall contain of area not less than 6,000 square feet per family, minimum 50 foot wide. On a lot which is erected a two-family dwelling, like a duplex, which you see a lot of today, shall contain an area of not less than 5,000 square feet per family. So if I wanted to put a duplex on one of these lots, I'd have to have 10,000 square foot. He doesn't have that square footage, so he can't put a duplex there unless he added two lots together.
And he hasn't done that, so.
He has no intention. I think he's just going to sell them off, and however the developers do it, it's up to them after that.
And I know I'm repeating what you just said, but this will be single-family dwellings on this property.
His intentions right now are for single-family dwellings, yes, sir.
You're not going to have a 4-story apartment
It
building.
is not allowed in the current zoning if it gets changed. The way it sticks today, it could be.
Prior to the creating of this subdivision, was that property in the city limits?
It is in the city limits, but it's never been a subdivision till today. It was a meets and bounds, and by dividing it and putting lots and blocks in it, it is now a subdivision. That's why they call it the Hatton subdivision.
The zoning change sounds more advantageous from R4 to R3, correct? In terms of what one could have there?
It's more restrictive
It is more restrictive.
because it's less population.
But you could have essentially one family's home and a mother-in-law suite in the back, correct? Or am I misunderstanding what you're saying?
Because of the way this was divided, and he'd have to have 10,000 square feet to have two families living there.
Okay.
And if you read in the ordinance, there's some stipulations for lots that were already, most of the town was already built when they put the zoning ordinance in. in that instance, you only have to have 3,000 square foot. So like you'll see a lot of mother-in-law houses down on Main Street, off of East A, West A. You'll have a lot of mother-in-law houses there. Those are 7,000 square foot lots, so they can have two-family dwellings there, and there are some there. But where we were getting in trouble for years, even before I started, is landlords were buying up residential properties in an R3 zone and then breaking them up into apartments. An exact example of that is right straight across the street here. That's an R3 zone on this little white house over here. It was apartments. I think it's got 6 meters on the back of it. There's 6 meters. It's got 2 more houses beside it, and where that comes into problem is parking. It wasn't an issue there because there's school next to it, but if we had a regular residential zone, that would be hard. We had an individual down the street, bought that church. They wanted to make apartments, and the residents come in around it and said, no, we don't want apartments there. So they were allowed to have 2 families there. We get in a lot of trouble with apartments where people buy in buildings and want to put 6, 7 people in them. So I try to catch them when enough, like this one's been vacant for quite a few years now, 2 years maybe. If they come back in here, that's going to be a single-family home unless they do something different.
But this is what Mr. Hatton wants.
Mr. Hatton
And it's
wants this.
been-
I visited with him and his wife at the house, and he's all for this.
And it's been fully explained to him, and
Mhm.
all the alternatives explained to him, and
I believe his intentions, and I'm not going to try to speak for him, but what he kind of told me is he just wants to sell the lots off to single families, and what happens with it after that is kind of up to this board. So,
well, they'll have a nice new street out front.
yeah.
Now, did you say these lots were 50 feet wide?
I can't, I don't have the plat in front of me, but, yeah,
I think you said they had to be a minimum of 50 feet wide, right?
minimum, and it varies back and forth because I'm dealing with a lot right now up by your house on Campbell Street, where that triangle lot that's been empty for years. We finally have somebody interested in putting a home in there, and we went and looked at it. I've been doing that lot for a long time, but the water department found a main sewer line right across the middle of it. And plus, it fronts 3 streets, so you got setbacks on 3 different sides of it. So you got to look at that and go, you know.
Well, I just wonder if these were 50 feet wide, how deep are they?
I think they're 110 foot deep, if I remember right, something like that. It's funny, that's an 80-inch screen TV, and I have a hard time seeing it. I can't see it.
And once this becomes a subdivision, does that affect the property taxes too?
Those are 62 feet wide, Councilman. I'm sorry?
Well, when this becomes a subdivision, does that affect the property tax value?
They'll be taxed different, yeah. What are they, 12, what are they, Lynette, 12 mils? Lynette? Well, he's getting that already.
It's
He's
8
get,
for the city and then 12 for the county.
right. So it's 20 altogether.
He was already.
He was already getting that tax, because he's already in the city limits. Just each individual lot now will be taxed.
So as you said, they're 62 feet wide
Correct.
and 75 feet
long.
long.
They're pretty small lots. Give an example, these across the street are 140 foot long, 50 foot wide. But the way the areas are breaking up now, all the square boxes are gone, the rectangles are gone, so they're trying to get all the corners and nooks and crannies. We don't have a lot of lots to build on right now. This is gonna help. And they're flat.
I think the state is in favor of more dense housing population to try to help with the affordable housing situation around the state.
I guess, I don't know, I think there's a lot of empty apartments up at High Plains, I think.
No, it may not be in Torrington, but statewide, I know there.
Yeah, I think you're correct there. There is some thought giving, taking away like those R1 zones and not having so much open area, grass to water. There's a lot of thought in that. I think most people are for that today anyway.
Any further questions for Mr. Estes?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve establishing R3 zoning for Block 1, lots D, E, and Block 2, lots A, B, and C of the Hatton subdivision addition.
All right, we're on item number 3, ordinance on first reading. Got a motion from Councilman Deal establishing R3 zoning for Block 1, lots D and E, and Block 2, lots A, B, and C of the Hatton subdivision addition. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval of this ordinance on first reading, establishing R3 zoning for Block 1, lots D and E, and Block 2, lots A, B, and C of the Hatton subdivision addition, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, that ordinance in item 3 is approved on first reading.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. We are now on item number 4, performance evaluation and merit increase request, and for that, I would call on Mrs. Strecker.
We're here again. It's already December. We successfully went through the process again this year. There were a few changes this year to the performance evaluation form itself. It had it had 5 questions instead of 10, and it had it allowed for half-point scoring instead of whole numbers. I believe that the department heads liked this form much better and felt like this was very productive and a lot less repetitive in certain areas. So they were very pleased with the changes we made last year and going through the process. And if you remember last year, we did change the percentage of merit increase based on the performance score. So those changes are reflected here in the memo. Basically, they were cut in half for this year. Those are extraordinary at 2%, exceeds exceptions at 1.5%, fully meets expectations at 1%, meets expectations at 0.5%, and then there is no merit increase for not meeting expectations there. So this year we had 84 evaluations. Last year, the same number. And the results are as follows. Extraordinary, there were 26 employees rated at extraordinary, and that's about 31%. Exceeds expectations is the next level, and there were 34 employees at 40%. Fully meets expectations, there were 14 employees who scored here, and that's 17% of the evaluations. Meet expectations, there were 10, and that's 12% of the employees. If you want to look at the statistics, the average performance score was very similar, even though we changed the scoring. So that tells me that it's still very compatible to what we had before. So the average performance score was 4.14, which is in the exceeds expectations category. And it was up by 0.05 points. So not a whole lot of difference there. The median performance was 4.2. The average merit increase was 50 cents an hour. And because of that change, it's down by 44 cents an hour since we changed the amount of the increase. The median merit was 45 cents an hour, and that was down by 34 cents. The merit pay stipend is for those employees who have met the top of their scale. And so they get paid a stipend every month for their performance score. There's 11 employees that are at that level right now, at the top of their scale. And the amount of their stipend totals $8,565 for the 6 months. And so this is up by 3 employees, so 3 more employees have met the top of the scale. And the dollar amount is up by $1,176. So the budget expense for 6 months will be approximately $56,337. I had projected in the budget $70,000. Last year it was $105,214. So if you expect that, we cut the merit increases in half with the budget merit amounts, that seems real compatible to what it should be. It's about a little over, not quite half, but so that is really, really good and what we wanted it to be when we presented the new policy on merit increases. So even though they're slightly higher, the total merit decreased due to the new policy, and we, the committee and I feel like we can sustain the increase for this year and would like approval for that tonight. I'd be glad to answer any questions. And of course, there are a few members of the Performance Evaluation Committee here, if they would like to add anything.
I'd just say that I enjoyed filling out the performance evaluations much more this year because they're shorter. And I do like that concept of if you're, if there's 3 to 4, you can do a 3.5, or 4 to 5, you can do a 4.5 instead of rounding down or rounding up. So I think that's a better addition. And I think it was just as much information in the shorter new form than it was in the longer old form, which I think, as you said, the longer old form was kind of got repetitive after a while. And this sort of slimmed down. And my impression, and from hearing from you, I had to do some, so I agree it's better, the form, and I think you're getting good feedback from your supervisors that they like that new shorter form
Yes, they did.
better.
And I think the committee had a little bit less to review every time, so they may have liked that too. Because they spend a lot of time, and this is a process. It's a 3-month process almost, so.
And just so you gentlemen know, that Performance Evaluation Committee, they go over those, each and every one of them, with a fine-tooth comb, looking for typographical errors, looking for grammatical errors, looking for misspellings, all of that. And nothing's perfect in this life, but those things end up close to perfect after they go through that process.
Mr. Mayor, it's my first year serving on the committee, and having been on Wage Committee and seen the changes that we suggested to the format, which council then approved, I was pleased to see that there were more complete comments than had been seen before.
Yeah.
All the questions were answered instead of just a raw number. That was nice to see.
Yes.
Now, the 11 employees that are in the merit pay, the stipend end,
Yes,
are they evaluated just like everybody else?
they are. And so what happens is I take their score, and I times it times, so let's say they got fully meets expectations. So I would take 1% times their current wage, times the hours, and then give them a biweekly stipend based on that. And it's just a set amount added to their wage every month, or every 2 weeks, sorry. So their actual hourly rate doesn't change. They're stuck at that hourly rate,
But the stipend changes every year.
depending on if their merit increase changes. So unfortunately, those who were at 4% last year, or if there would be a change this year because now it's 2%. So you're probably going to see some of those merit pay stipends go down for some employees because of the change in the policy.
And just, I'm ex officio on the Wage Committee, and just so everyone knows, there was a lot of thought put into this, a lot of discussion put into this about what we were going to recommend to council, or what the Wage Committee was going to recommend to council regarding these merit increases. It wasn't just a snap decision. There was a lot of discussion that went into it.
And we really hold those department heads accountable. You know, they have to justify why they get the score. So I believe it's a good process.
Wasn't this about the 10th year for it?
Not quite, I don't think.
We're getting pretty close, though, I think.
Maybe. I don't know, time flies. I haven't counted. It's probably been at least 8.
Had changes throughout the years, too.
Right.
I have no questions. Okay. Any further questions? I don't see that there are any. We're on item number 4, performance evaluation and merit increase request. I would entertain a motion for council to approve the performance evaluation and merit increase request.
Mr. Mayor, as the amount is below the budgeted amount, I would make the motion to approve the merit increase.
All right, we're on item number 4. Councilman Deal has made a motion to approve the performance evaluation and merit increase request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Kelly. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. Item number 4, all those in favor of approval of the performance evaluation and merit increase request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, item 4, performance evaluation and merit increase request is approved. All right, we are on item number 5 of the agenda, policy handbook, new policies. They are subpart A, sick leave upon separation of employment for employees hired after January 1, 2026, and B, sub item B, sick leave upon retirement for employees hired before January 1, 2026. And I would also call on Clerk Treasurer Mrs. Lynette Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, it's a very confusing issue. I tried to summarize it in a memo, but we had a lot of discussion about this over the past 6 months since budget. We went back and forth over several scenarios, and we landed on what you have in front of you. So, after much discussion and talking about the current policy that's in place right now before we make any changes, so employees who are here at least 10 years can, upon retirement, apply their unused sick leave at the time of retirement towards premium payments to continue on our health insurance plan. Of course, this was put into place, I would say in 2002, so 20 or so years ago, 23 or 4 years ago. the committee felt like this would be hard to sustain into the future. And they felt really uncomfortable going forward with this plan the way it is for any new hires being hired. So we are proposing to sunset that portion, the sick leave upon retirement, for any employees hired after January 1st. They will no longer be eligible for this option. So the easiest way we thought about doing that is to separate the two into two separate policies. One policy for employees hired after January 1st, and one policy, a new policy for sick leave upon separation for employees hired after January 1st, and then separate out the current policy, the sick leave upon retirement for our current employees, into its own policy. So it's a little confusing, but we felt like moving forward, new hires would fall under one policy, and then the existing employees would fall under the other policy. So the committee suggested a new policy for anybody hired after January 1st upon separation. It doesn't have to be retirement. We developed a policy to allow employees to cash out only a portion of their sick leave, up to $7,500, upon separation of employment. And the qualifications is they have to, you can look at the policy, it's the first one after the memo. And the qualifications is they have to be in good standing, performance rating meets expectations or higher. They have to give a minimum of 2 weeks' notice, so they can't just leave. And they would have to have worked 10 years of full-time employment. And so this would be eligible, the eligibility or the qualifications to receive this benefit. And the payout options are: the employees shall receive 50% of the value of their accumulated sick leave with a cap of 750 hours up to a maximum of 7,500. And that can be paid as a lump sum in their final paycheck, or they can add it to the deferred comp plan towards their retirement. And there's no health insurance involved with anything. So that would be the new policy for employees hired after January 1st, if the council approves. So the next policy is the one I split out from the sick leave policy. And this is the one that all of us are currently under, all the employees are currently under, because they were hired before January 1st, 2026. It changed format a little bit, hopefully to make it easier and clearer when I pulled it out of the other policy. But so all regular full-time employees hired before January 1st, 2026, with 10 years of service are eligible to participate in a sick leave conversion program upon retirement, provided they meet the city's retirement criteria. One of the criteria is the employee must be enrolled in the city's health insurance plan at the time of retirement, either single or family. If the spouse is included, it would have to be a family plan, unless they're employees, both employees of the city. But options for retiring employees. So they have the option upon retirement for health insurance coverage. The value of the accumulated sick leave is converted into a fund. The fund is applied to pay the monthly costs of the city's group health insurance premium or a Medicare supplement if the employee is over 65. And just to clarify, the coverage is for the retiree spouse, not employed with the city, or both retiree and spouse together. The monthly cost of the premium is deducted from that balance until it reaches zero. The cash out option is the other option if you don't want to have the health insurance. And the only change we made to this policy is we made it comparable to the sick leave upon separation. So they're both at 7,500. It was 5,000 previously.
Yes, and if I could interrupt you.
Sure, yes.
Mrs. Strecker, the reason it went up to 7,500 is the committee was hopeful that some people will choose with a greater amount that option rather than the medical insurance, because that would be a lesser impact on the city's budget in the future.
Question for in a scenario where an employee retires early, could they, in choosing the health insurance coverage, when they if they retire early, they could use the balance to pay their health insurance premium, but once they turn 65, can they roll that over to pay for the supplement?
They can, and that's in the conditions, which is on the next page. It is the largest bullet point there. If retired employee turns 65 and would like to roll over the remaining sick leave balance into the Medicare supplement plan, they may do so by notifying us, and we'd like to have notice 30 days before the Medicare eligibility so we can get the paperwork figured out for them. So that was also added. I don't have it in red there. The other thing we added was the bullet above that. We have several employees who are married, both working for the city, and they can participate in this plan, but they would be required to go to a single plan before they retire in order to take advantage of the health insurance. And we felt like the reason for that is they each have their own benefit, and if they were to go on to Medicare, it would be separate. So instead of trying to combine it, it would be easier just to have the two singles going forward under the medical plan. So those are two additions as well. The other conditions already exist. We're just pointing them out. And then we added the definition of retirement, just in case there's a question on that. So that is the sick leave upon retirement. It was broken out from the sick leave policy. So the next policy is an amended policy. I don't know if you want to just do a motion on the new policies first, or...
Well, we are in item number 5, so I think it makes sense to just do those two, and then we
Okay.
can move on to 6.
Okay, sounds good.
I am curious, Mr. Mayor, if anybody on the committee could give me a sort of summary of this has been 6 months in the making. What overall has been the sort of heartburn, if you will, of the changes, the reasonings?
Oh, my.
I have the minutes here.
It was so confusing to try to come up with a single policy which would address the budgetary concerns related to the health insurance and that impact on the budget. As Mrs. Strecker said, when the policy was created some 20 years ago, there were fewer retirees anticipating retiring. So it was a much lesser impact on the budget. Now it is all of the sick leave accrued up to X number of hours which is a fairly substantial amount. And if we have a lot of retirees, it's a big impact on our budget. So that was one of the concerns. Okay, how do we address this? And existing employees anticipating this, would it be fair to them to change the policy in midstream? Would that even be a legal move to do that? Which is why it led to, okay, let's have two different policies then. We'll make some minor changes to the current retirement policy, trying to save some budgetary money there and try to do away with the problem in the future. So if the council approves tonight, as of January 1st, the new policy would be in effect for those folks for termination of employment, whether that is retirement or termination of employment. That was probably one of the biggest concerns. Whether or not some people who are employed are going to abuse policies and use sick leave inappropriately. That was one of the places we started at and really didn't come up with any kind of way to substantially address that. That was a concern, but that one never got resolved. So there were all kinds of issues, and anytime you bring in one thing, then the complexities arise. Well, what about this situation? How about this situation? So making the best of a bad situation, this is what the committee came up with. Is that helpful?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
And I think that those votes were unanimous, I think.
I
on the
think so.
committee.
There was a lot of discussion.
Lot of
I
discussion.
didn't,
A lot of discussion. It was tabled
it was
a few
tabled,
times, several
brought back.
times.
I surveyed a bunch of communities. I wanted to see what other people were doing, and a lot of them did have some sort of conversion. I think we came up with the sick leave upon separation as hopefully a way to try to curb the abuse of the sick leave. Maybe if they know they're going to get paid for it, if they're here 10 years, it might, maybe they won't abuse it as much.
And I just want everybody to know, we have good employees, so there's not
We do.
rampant abuse, but there's some. But this was an incentive to try to mitigate that abuse that might exist by giving them an incentive to not use the sick days unless they truly are sick or their loved one's sick or whatever qualifies for a sick day.
And to just give you some history, this might kind of explain why the policy upon retirement came up 20 years ago. Before that, we had an early retirement policy, which paid out basically a payment to anybody retiring early. And there was like a scale, and it was rather confusing, and I felt like that was a bigger liability than this at that time. So we had a wage committee, we came up with this plan in replace of it, because that seemed to be the biggest concern of people. If they did want to retire early, the biggest concern was getting health insurance until they're 65. And so this was put in the plan for those people to help them with their health insurance until they reach 65, so they could retire early.
Yeah, and let me make it clear, we did not talk about any specific employees, and there are not a big concern about that with employees abusing it. Just a generalization that anytime you have a large organization, things are going to happen.
Yeah, they do.
Now, since all this hired before January 2026 affects every employee we've got now, is there going to be a fund set aside to cover the cost of this? Or is it going to be taken out of the individual department's budget?
That's the way I've done it in the past, but like I told you during budget time, we're going to have to really start succession planning, and part of that is setting aside money for some of this. So I'd like to seriously consider that, and the next budget cycle is trying to set aside more money for this pot, because it's going to be here rather quickly.
Well, like I said, it affects every employee we've got.
It does. So they have to be here at least 10 years, which I know some are waiting until that 10-year mark. And they also have to retire. You can't just quit and go somewhere else. It has to be, you have to retire. So,
Yeah, but if you retire from the city and then go to work for somebody else, you can't.
that's not retirement under the definition. They have to apply for Wyoming retirement.
Are we requiring proof of that under the policy? We are?
And they have to be 55 years of age and have 10 years of employment.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you're right, Dennis. We do need to start planning for this. It's a concern, and you know how tight budgets are, so.
Okay.
But we're hoping that the 7,500, the increase to 7,500 might incentivize a payout instead of health insurance.
And the new policy also reduces it, the old policy was 1,500 hours, it reduces it to 750 hours at the top end, or $7,500.
The new policy, yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
And then, just so everybody knows, the supervisors will explain this to their people under them, but Bobby's always available if employees have questions, and they can come in and make an appointment with Bobby and go over this until they understand it, because for most people, it's hard to get a grasp on this. So the city provides means for employees to get a grasp on it.
And when I first sent out this policy, there were a few people panicking. They misunderstood that I mean, they have planned for this in their retirement, and,
And that's a good point, because if you got to look at the top of each policy, who it applies to.
Yeah.
right.
And I appreciate the explanation from everybody involved, because, you know, I'm not on the wage committee, and seeing these for the first time, I had questions and concerns, and it's a complex issue. Everybody has this to deal with here, so I'm thankful that there's been many eyes and ears looking at this issue.
And I want to give credit, as I said, I'm ex officio on the Wage Committee. Councilman Deal chairs that committee. Bobby's there, Lynette's there, Jeff's there, Chris Powell's there, Oz is there. We have good folks on that committee, and they're good because they're looking out for the people that work for them, under them, but they're also looking out for the city. They get that this city, they can't wreck the city. You know, it's not like, you know, labor union coming to management. It's just not that type of a thing. People are cooperative and work together, and I'm impressed by their ability to do that.
Yeah, I think that was made clear to me when leaving one of the meetings, one of the committee members said, "That's the first time I've ever voted against my best interest."
That's a good way to put that. But the city's got to exist for those best interests, or there is those interests to be served over time.
Yeah, it's a system, and the system is served by the people that work for it, and they benefit as well from the system, so.
Yeah. All right, one last thing. Make no mistake, these horses are beat to death in that committee. And all the hypotheticals and all the scenarios that anybody can think of in that group are considered. Is it possible the committee missed one? Sure it is. But tried to cover any contingency that could possibly happen.
And that's good because that creates lasting policy, not just policy that in 3 months we then come adjust.
Right.
So, good on the committee.
Don't get me wrong, we make mistakes, but we'll be back if we do.
Mr. Mayor, I would move, if there's no further discussion, I would move to approve the new handbook policies under item 5.
A and B.
Yes.
All right, we're on item number 5. I have a motion from Councilman Victorine to approve the policy handbook, new policies on sub-item A and on sub-item B related to sick leave upon separation and sick leave upon retirement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Warren. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we are on item number 5. All those in favor of policy handbook, approval of policy handbook, new policies, subsection A and B, sick leave upon separation of employment and sick leave upon retirement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, those two items in item number 5 are approved. All right, we are now on item number 6, policy handbook amendments regarding sick leave, separation of employment, and reclassification procedure. And with that, I would call on Mrs. Strecker.
So as I was saying, I took the sick leave upon retirement out of the sick leave policy. So in front of you is the amended policy with that piece removed. And then we did make just a few changes to clarify. I added a heading over the sick leave upon resignation. That was just the end of the policy in the old policy, and I thought it maybe needed a heading. We thought that. And then sick leave upon separation of employment. So this is for employees hired before January 1st. So this is all of us here in this room. They will not be able to cash out their sick leave unless they're eligible for the sick leave upon retirement for employees hired before January 1st, 2026. So that's the difference between the two policies is those hired before January 1st, 2026 and have not been here 10 years and are not retiring do not get a cash out on their sick leave.
Upon
So everything in
resignation.
red there was the changes. Are there any questions on this one?
Yes, just to refresh my memory, how does the sick leave bank work? What is an employee able to take from that or request from the bank?
So there's that's not here, but, so employees can, opt into the bank if they have a certain amount of sick leave. It takes 8 hours of their sick leave to be transferred from their sick leave into the bank to join the bank. When there's a catastrophic illness and all of their leave is used up, including sick, comp, everything, they can apply to use the sick bank. So they would use that, and I don't remember the limits now. I'd have to pull out the policy. They would use that up until the limit that they would get in order get paid for that. And then after, if they return and their sick bank builds back up, they start paying back the bank.
Sure.
We have had that used. In one case, and in some cases, it's not paid back because either they pass away or
Can't return.
they have to leave employment because of their health. So sometimes it's not paid back, but everybody who joins the bank knows that. And if it falls below a certain amount, then I go back to those people in the bank and say, hey, I need eight more hours. I haven't had to do that yet, so that's good. But we keep track of those members who are in the bank, and we put this in place just for those catastrophic things. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions on sick leave? So as a committee, we also look at some older policies we haven't looked at in a while to see if they need updating. We looked at separation of employment. We just changed a little bit of wording, cleared things up a little bit. You can kind of see in red where things were changed. I took out oversight officer as a lot of these and put in the mayor's designee because, you know, our oversight officer is Jim, and he's just not always there, so it just makes sense to have whoever the mayor designates. It's usually me or Bobby. And then we took out a will and put in May on the exit interview.
So I have a question there, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
Why would we not require, all right, let me rephrase. Why would we not make that more of a serious point to return city equipment and keys?
Like, and change the may to shall?
Why the change? Why from will to may?
Well, as you know, will is
Mandatory.
mandatory, or should be. In some cases, we just can't, they're either lost or we can't get them back. We have a lot of seasonal employees that get keys and then they're gone. We can't really take it out of their last paycheck. It's not enough, number one. So we just felt like we'll do everything we can, but May was maybe a better word in that instance. I don't know, do you guys have another explanation on the committee?
I just wanted to reiterate what you said. A lot of it's seasonal employees. They're back to college and they didn't turn their key in.
That's kind of what we're talking about, is it's a
Yes.
key or something of a minor.
It's usually a key.
We're not talking vehicles.
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
But I mean, keys are serious because
Yeah.
they can open city facilities. We don't want them floating around out there. You know, changing cores is expensive. So I understand, you know, it may not seem expensive, but it's a big deal, really, when you don't get your keys back.
It gives some discretion. I mean, if you had a college kid that had a key to something and they lost it, and they didn't have it to bring back in, then you may deduct that cost from their final paycheck, or you can use your discretion and not deduct it from their final paycheck. That, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one? The next one is, we reviewed the reclassification procedure. Again, we just went through and cleared up some language. The changes are there in red. And I took out oversight officer.
Just curious, not trying to stir anything up. I look at the top of that, and it's got document owner Billy Janes, and then added to
I'll
policy.
change that, yeah. That is part of Policy Tech, and so when I do the final revision, it'll have my name up there.
Okay.
He originally set up everything in Policy Tech, so, when he was chief.
All right, we are on item number 6, policy handbook amendments relating to sick leave, separation of employment, and reclassification procedure. Are there any further questions for Mrs. Strecker or Mr. Deal as chairman of the Wage Committee? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the policy handbook amendments A, B, and C set forth in item 6.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make that motion.
All right, item 6, have a motion from Councilman Deal to approve the policy handbook amendments, A for sick leave, B for separation of employment, and C for reclassification procedure. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Warren. I think he beat you. Item number 6, policy handbook amendments related to sick leave, separation of employment, and reclassification procedure. All those in favor of approving those policy handbook amendments as set forth signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, those policy amendments set forth in 6 are approved. Item 7 on the agenda, approval of the bills from December 3rd, 25 to December 16th, 25. And there, as you gentlemen know, there's bills attached to your agenda and a couple of pages that was delivered to you this evening by Mrs. Strecker. And with that introduction, I would call on Mrs. Strecker.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm open for any questions.
I got a couple. On the first set of bills, on page 2 for DARE, it says Senior Christmas Program Donation. And then on the second set of bills, there's another one for the DARE that says the same thing. Are those two separate items, or are they?
So we ended up getting more donations, so this first one, we added on to it. So the correct one is the one on the second set.
So the one on the first set is void,
Yes,
980.
right. We just keep getting in more money for Chief and the police department are raising money for seniors. And they're getting donations. So we are taking those donations in, and then we're giving them back to DARE, and they're going to go and help out the seniors for Christmas. So I know Chief Johnson or Pat could probably tell you a little more about the program itself, but they've done it every year for a while. But this year, it seems very popular, so.
It is very popular. Last I heard from Chief Johnson, there were thousands given. And go ahead, Chief.
Yes,
Assistant.
so far, so what the program is, every year, you know, somebody's been doing like Shop with the Cop and things like that, and all these Christmas things are directed at children. Well, we have a very large elderly population in our community, and we don't want them to be ignored or overlooked, and a lot of them, quite frankly, don't have family or anybody to help them out through the holidays, so we decided to start a program to buy Christmas presents or things that are needed, things that are wanted for senior citizens who basically don't really have anybody else to do it. The Senior Friendship Center gives us a list of recommendations. We don't select the seniors ourselves, they're all selected by the Friendship Center. And then they give us a list of names, and then we put out the call to people for either donating specific items or just donating money. It's become bigger and bigger every year. This year, I know we've got a lot of gifts sitting in our lobby, and I think we've had close to $5,000 in monetary donations. And so what this is, you know, they come in, they bring a check, and it's made out to the city of Torrington or the Torrington Police Department, and somebody's got to cash the check. So they are going to cut a check to DARE program, because then I have the check signing rights for DARE, and that way we can go out and buy the gift cards, buy all the things that are needed, and of course, all that stuff will be tracked.
It's been going on for a number of years, huh?
I started either the first year Chief Johnson was here or the second year, so this is either the fourth or fifth year, I can't remember.
But it's wildly popular this year.
Yes, it's very popular this year. We've actually gotten way more money than we expected, which is a great blessing.
Didn't even know what was going on. Well, that's good. The only other question I had, if you'd check this out for me, the Legacy Cooperative on the first set of bills on page 6. All those figures for dyed diesel, if you figured up per gallon, it ranges anywhere from $2.88 a gallon to $5.87 a gallon. I was going to check with Kelly, and I didn't make it over there today, but if you
Yeah,
could
she
check
was
that
sick
one out.
today anyway, so, yeah, I'll have her look into it and, contact you. How's that?
That works for me.
I have a question on page 3 of the first set, the invoice to the FAA for $19,400.
Just explain that one.
That is for the ASOS relocation into the new terminal building. They have to physically move that equipment. It's part of their responsibility.
Okay.
So actually, it's a lot cheaper than we thought. We were estimating somewhere around 50,000. So 19,000 was good in a way. It's still a lot of money, but could have been a lot worse.
And then on the second set, page 1 for the country club, is that for our stalls, for our carts that we rent from their space?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Maybe I should take a moment and explain that situation. For anybody curious of that agreement, the city doesn't have enough vacant cart spaces to rent in our building at the golf course. But the country club does. So we have patrons who wish to rent from the city. And so we have an agreement with the country club to rent an X amount of their stalls at a rate. And so we have some of those available to patrons who want to rent from the city. Maybe they're not a member of the country club, so forth. So that is that situation.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if there's no further questions about the bills, I'd recommend that we pay them.
All right, we're on item number 7, approval of the bills. I have a motion from Councilman Kelly to approve the bills as presented. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Second from Councilman Victorin. Any further discussion on the bills? Hearing none. Item number 7, all those in favor of approval of the bills as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Hearing no nays, the bills in item 7 are approved. All right, we are now in public comment time, and I have Fire Chief Luis Correa back there. Would you come and give us a report, Chief?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We've had roughly 6 calls since the last time we met. A couple of carbon monoxide detectors we were called out for, both of which were at the end of their life and just needed replaced. We had one false alarm, fire alarm at one of the local hotels here. They were having some construction done and that was set off. One was at one of the Banner facilities for a fire alarm. They had a malfunction with one of their vacuums and caused the area to be filled with smoke.
Vacuum cleaner, right?
Yes. Yep. And then we had a couple of grass calls. I guess one of them was a mutual aid for a haystack on fire. But that's what we had for as far as calls go. Of course, we're always busy with our community outreach stuff. This month was pretty busy for us. We helped out with the Christmas parade, which is over. We were able to transport kids for Shop with a Cop to the Elks Lodge, from Bumgars to the Elks Lodge, so that they could have their presents wrapped. Today and yesterday we escorted Santa Claus around to various schools and daycares, as well as the senior center. One other thing of note is we were able to host the governor. He came down for a discussion about potential decreases in property tax and what that would meant for the fire departments as well as other special districts. So we're happy to have him down for a few hours and discuss what he had in mind and kind of let him know what our thoughts were on potential cuts. But that's what we had going on.
Well, I just wanted to tell you, I had a mother who has a child in the daycare that you went to with Santa today, who was very proud to show me a picture of her child. He wouldn't sit on Santa's lap, or she wouldn't sit on Santa, but she would stand near him for a photo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great thing. It's definitely pretty special to be able to do that, and had a good group of guys this year that were able to escort him around, and I'm not quite sure the final numbers, but I think at Lincoln alone there was about 250 kids that got to see Santa Claus. And
you also did the Christmas parade since we last met. That was on the 5th, right?
Yep, the Christmas parade. It was I thought unusually long for a Christmas parade. It was a good turnout for participants. So yeah, it was good. We've been fortunate with wonderful weather for this time of the year.
And that there were a lot of participants. There were a lot of floats and entries in that parade.
Yeah, there was. It was a good time.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remind people to participate in the firemen's fundraisers. Sometimes you get lucky, and I appreciate being the lucky winner
Yeah.
this month.
Yeah, I hope you get to enjoy that. With that being said, yeah, we are gearing up for another round of Gun a Month. That's our main fundraiser for the year, and we're currently working on the list. So
And that's a popular fundraiser.
it is. It's I can't remember how many years we've been doing it. I believe at least 10 years, but it's definitely been good to us and good to some people in the community.
Yes, and the council had nothing to do with rigging the drawing. I want
Yeah.
to make that clear.
Well, I've donated to it a lot of years and haven't won anything.
Your time will come. All right, Chief, thank you very much. Appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Any takers for public comment? Or comment from council?
I would take a moment, Mr. Mayor, and follow your lead, and would like to wish the staff, residents, and businesses of the city a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It's close, isn't it? And we won't be back till the 6th of January, so. All right. Any other public comments? All right. Merry Christmas to all, and we have completed our agenda for this evening, so this meeting is adjourned.